Hey there, so I wanted to review some American manga I got a while ago. Met the author and artist at a convention. Super cool guy. We talked for a while. So I read this a while ago, actually. I just didn't get around to making this video until now. But it's a really solid book. I can recommend. Essentially, the book is similar in structure to Rambo. He is a war veteran who returns home from war and then has a bunch of problems back in his own country. And in Deathtrap, that is leftism. And he doesn't pull any punches. I gotta give him credit. Now this stuff doesn't seem that edgy, but this came out a while ago, and it's crazy that this didn't get a whole bunch of attention for being so edgy. Like, the villains for most of the story are just actual troons. Like, big, bulky men dressed as women with, like, mental illness. And he kills the shit out of them, too. It's quite something. So thematically, the book is pretty cool. I do have a few critiques, though. First of all, the very lovely love interest here is Mexican or something, and that's treated as relevant and positive, but the main character is just generic white guy. And that isn't really given any gravity, which is a shame. Because you'll see it so often where someone will be like, oh, I'm a mutt, which is basically someone who is 100% European, but they just feel like that doesn't have any like cultural value, or there's no merit in it, and I think it's so unfortunate. It would have been really cool to see something be positive about that. And it's not that it's negative about being white or anything. It's just a missed opportunity. Because you just see people so often be like, oh, I'm a mutt, as though there's no value in being a fusion of all the greatest cultures of the world. Just like all good ingredients combined into being an American, and then they're like, Somehow the fusion of that isn't something super cool, but whatever. And then something on the plus side is the hits, the impact. In the same way that Frank Frazetta had this sense for the impending strike, like the anticipation of a blow, this guy has that for the impact. He really has an understanding of what makes a hit look hard. And I think of all the advantages that the medium of comics has, that is something you really can take advantage of, is get a really satisfying blow, a really satisfying hit. And this guy capitalizes on that really well. The hits in this comic are just something else. They just feel so visceral. They're just so satisfying. And of course, he builds up the villains to be very, very satisfying to hit. Although I will say, if I may have another small gripe with this book, there is a character here, and it's a very small character. It's like a side character, but this dude, this villain. Now, this guy is taking advantage of an underage girl, and he's drawn pretty big and pretty masculine. But in my experience, creepy dudes are always these kind of effeminate losers, and he gets that right with the main villain. The main villain seems like the kind of guy who's kind of hanging around at a party. He swishes around like whiskey in his mouth so that his breath smells like alcohol, and then he hangs out by the bathroom, or he hangs out by the outside of the dorm and like waits to see if he can escort a girl home. Like, that sort of effeminate weak man is what I've encountered to be the real scumbag, low character people in real life. And so it feels a bit off key to see this like big, strong violator of women. It's not really what you see. Because if you're big and strong like that, you wouldn't need to be a creepy guy. But I do see artistically in the frame, having him kind of growing out of the frame makes him seem more scary and more of a threat to the girl, which is what he's going for. So this is kind of like a, personal taste. And then the other little critique I had was the proofreading. See, no, you're not. It's the wrong you're. And that's maybe something you're not going to notice if you don't have to edit stuff all the time and you're not a writer or whatever. But I came across it a lot. The other one I noticed quite a bit, and I don't know if this is like an artistic choice or whatever, but I'll just put a picture right here. Instead of should've, as in the conjunction of should have, it consistently is should of, like OF, like which I don't know, like some people do say it like that, and so it could just be a vernacular thing, like kind of like Rogue in the X-Men doesn't say I apostrophe M, it's AM, like I'm going to the store. And that is a dialect. Like people do talk like that. My mom actually talks like that. She doesn't say I'm, she says the Bronx thing. Anyway, it's rough if you don't have a writer that can proofread your stuff. And a lot of people, it's like rough goings to get people to proofread stuff. I know. So my sympathy is more than my critique on the grammar. Also, I should mention the pacing is quite good. I had to kind of force myself to bookmark it so that I wouldn't just down the whole thing in one sitting. Oh, and something else I should note is something I really try to do in my own writing, and that's to have a distinct contrast. In order to make the violence more impactful, it really helps to have this softer contrast of these happier scenes. And me and the writer and artist, we actually talked about this in our brief conversation when we met at a convention. And he does do a good job of capturing that contrast between the visceral violence and the very cozy scenes with the female character. It's a good job. And yeah, in conclusion, solid book. Really, really cool. If you want to read a badass war hero, superhero kind of Punisher guy, killing creepy troons and saving a bunch of women from being trafficked, this is your book. This is solid. It's really cool. It's just a really cool, solid read. I can think of plenty of dudes that would just love this as a gift or whatever. Like it's good. Yeah. So Deathtrap Volume 1 can recommend. Check it out.